Hey everybody, this is Reanimated episode 210, no, 220? Something like that. This is Stuart, your long missing host, with me, the long also missing co-host, AJ Conrad. Good morning.
Hello.
Hi.
Bonjour.
Buenos dias. We are back from kind of a long hiatus. This happens just if people have listened to us for a while, you know, the end of the summer is a tough time for work for some of us, and so we tend to fall off our schedule a little bit, but we'll be getting back in the flow of things. We really want to get done with our review series of Fear the Walking Dead Season 5 for more than one reason. And here we are to do that today. Before we can get into that, we're going to do 3 episodes today. We're going to talk a little bit about the news, which also some of which has to do with Fear the Walking Dead Season 5. So, AJ, why don't you kick us off?
All right. So, I don't think it comes as any surprise that a lot of fans are a bit unhappy with the turn that Fear the Walking Dead has been taking. And there was like a bit of a Twitter thing on the AMC Talking Dead status, and fans were making no bones about the fact that they really don't like the direction the show is going. It was there's a lot of burns in here, from the removal of Kim Dickens' character to just the storyline, like just vitriol after, and granted, Twitter is a bit of an echo chamber for some of this stuff, and it tends to be pretty negative overall, but this was really right out of the gate a pretty negative reaction, I thought.
I'm wondering where Chris Hardwick is even going to find the positive comments or questions to present to Chambliss and Goldberg when they're.
Right.
I think they've already recorded the episode of Talking Dead. It might have even aired. I don't know. I'm kind of out of the loop of watching Talking Dead, but I'd be very interested to see what he can come up with, because that show is only ever positive. I think the only time I heard anything negative was from Alex Navarro. Mm-hmm. Was it Alex Navarro? Who's the guitarist for Soundgarden or whatever?
Dave Navarro.
Dave Navarro, sorry. Alex Navarro's
but isn't it
video
Dave
games
Navarro?
journalism.
Yeah, isn't Dave Navarro Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Was he? Maybe both? Sorry.
Maybe
I'm just failing my rock trivia. Either way, he was on in season 2 of the show, season 1 of Talking Dead, and he was like, there aren't enough zombies in this season. Never been asked back on a Talking Dead, but also the only time I ever heard a guest or anybody say anything remotely negative about the show, which is not surprising. It is a PR vehicle for the show, but that only makes Chris Hardwick's job harder, and I have to wonder if he's even enjoying season 5 of Fear the Walking Dead, because there are a few people, it should be pointed out in this Twitter thread, who are like, I like it, and there are a few people on Instagram and other channels who are saying, yeah, this is great, but it certainly does not seem to be the overarching theme, to the extent that now there's a change.org petition. It's not doing amazing. It's got 2,000
right
signatures, but the fact that that exists is just embarrassing for the show, and
right.
You have to wonder what kind of conversations are happening at AMC for sure.
Right, and the petition is to fire the showrunners, Angie Chambliss and Ian Goldberg. And, what I did note, though, in some of the comments, and I also feel this way, one of the, his name is escaping me right now, but he tends to do the reviews or the summaries, of Fear the Walking Dead. I'll have to look it up. But in any case, I feel like, and he said something recently that really sort of summarized a lot of what you and I have been talking about, is that there's enough promise that you could see sort of how the show could be if it was being run well, and you get enough a hope that it's gonna turn into something else, only to have your hopes dashed. And he described it as a student that is kind of just getting by with a passing grade, and they pass, so they continue to go on, but they don't actually rise to the level of an A-level student. And because they keep getting affirmation, in this case, he said that, the show's been renewed, so they can keep sort of delivering kind of quasi-okay work. And I think that that's a pretty apt observation. There's some there is a really great cast here. There's some great actors here, and I just feel like, and again, we have like 3 episodes to get through, so I'm not going to dwell too much more on this, other than to say that this confirms some of the things I'm feeling about this season and about the way that the story arc has gone, or not gone for that matter. And I really felt this is something that was echoed in the comments for the Talking Dead, was like, they were like, can we just address that, like, after the dam, nothing went, there was like sort of this thing and you never address that. And then suddenly everything is just in like trying to take it in a different direction. And I kind of agree. I think they should have done a little bit more with that. That was such a big set piece. And I think they had the option to do something truly interesting with it, and they just failed. And so I don't know. What are your thoughts on it, Stuart?
I mean, I agree. I mean, I would say that they didn't try to take the show in another direction. They started like 2 miles down the other direction path right after the dam, right? With all that time jumping, and Luciana was there, and she had been in Mexico and completely out of contact before that season started. So it was, they didn't just take like a little artistic license. They erased major characters and started a completely new storyline. So
right, and one of the things that you and I have discussed ad nauseum is the fact that some of the characters that they took so long to develop and developed like as like these badass characters like Luciana, they have not really, they've done nothing with them. And and we have to talk today about Daniel Salazar. We have to talk about him, because these episodes also kind of, he's been getting portrayed in a different way. I've been thinking more about season 1. I mean, this, contract killer, torturer, and then think about that in the context of how he is in these episodes. But we do have to move on. Oh, the one thing I did want to mention is that Chambliss and Goldberg have promised that they are reinventing the show in the finale, which actually airs this weekend. It's over almost, HA. It's almost over. So whatever happens in the finale is going to introduce some sort of quote-unquote major change that will really impact the way the next season unfolds. And so I can only hope that includes them bringing back Dave Erickson or something like that to get the show a little bit better on track. And before we hop into our recaps, there was a new, just a little more detail about the Zombieland sequel coming out. There's a new poster, and then also there was a bit of an interview with Ruben Fleischer about the fact that in this they've come up with like different categories of zombies. So there's like smart zombies, dumb zombies, fast zombies, and that kind of thing. So I honestly am not super psyched about that, but I guess they're trying to do something to make it a little bit more interesting, which he admitted. So, I've seen the trailers. It looks like kind of the same idea, and I think it'll be good. But it worries me when people are adding in new things to their particular zombie mythology. I don't know. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've never been a fan of hero type zombies. And so now they're going to have 4 in addition to the original fast zombies from the first movie. I mean, whatever you need to do. Like, I get it. Slow zombies can feel like a little one note, I think, and it doesn't maybe give you all the opportunities to tell interesting stories and do interesting horror. But for me, it's always just been about the slow creeping death, and I find that to just be it holds steady for me. Like it's a good track to go on.
Well, and I mean the thing though that troubles me a little bit is that the whole basis of Zombieland were the rules.
Yep.
And so the fact that all those were laid out so very succinctly by the Jesse Eisenberg character, like from the beginning, from the get-go, that it feels really weird and sloppy. The fact that they're kind of like backfilling all this stuff in, and I guess you can sort of maybe get there if you like things have evolved, and maybe you can get there, but it feels kind of sloppy to me. But obviously, again, we talk about all this stuff, but we're totally going to see this and we're totally going to review it. So that isn't even a question, but it does. This interview worried me more than anything else I had seen about this. Yeah. So we'll see.
So HA, one last thing.
Yep.
on October 8th, I believe, there's a limited theatrical release of Little Monsters coming, and so you will probably get to see it. I plugged in my address and it was like, drive 70 miles. But
No, sir.
I'm sure you can. And then 3 short days later, it'll be on Hulu, which is very exciting.
Well, that's good because that means we can review it pretty quickly, which is good. But yeah, I'll try to see it here. And I'm super psyched to see that, but also a little bit scared based upon some of the trailers, since it has all the things that push my buttons the most in a bad way.
So many little children. So many.
Ready to hop in?
I guess so.
All right. So we got 3 episodes to go over. Leave What You Don't, today and tomorrow, and Channel 5. Yeah.
They're all bad. They're all
bad. And they're some of my least favorite things that shows do. And there's a lot of the things, the storytelling issues that we've been talking about all throughout the season. The weird things with characters that we have noted, that they kind of decide to go against everything you know about a specific character. Well, in this case, not necessarily everything you know, but I think it's just a sloppy storytelling. But here in Leave What You Don't, we got a bit more of Logan's backstory. And big surprise, he used to be a do-gooder, just like Polar Bear.
Like, the biggest shock to me about this part of them telling his backstory is that him being a do-gooder was literally like a few weeks ago, I think.
Right. Like, this isn't that long.
It was whenever Polar Bear, like, Polar Bear getting his rig jacked by Sarah and Wendell is what we find out, is what turns Logan to the dark side. How long could that have possibly been in the chronology of this? I don't think more than weeks. So
right.
When Logan is sticking to his evil guns, maybe it's just because he's freshly recruited to the bad guys team.
Right. And maybe he's mourning. I mean, this was his best friend and he must have believed in what he did. But it does seem to me that it's a pretty short timeline to be all mustache twirly and have and to go all the way from that one extreme to another extreme without a little, I mean, I think we've seen a little bit of doubt with him, and we definitely saw some of that happening here, but it still feels like a lot of, so this is the part of Fear the Walking Dead that I really take issue with, is that, he's got, clearly we get hints of this. This is the first time we've really gotten hints of it, that he's got some other deal with some other group and whatever, and this is where this all comes to fruition. But it's done in such a stupid cloak and dagger way that doesn't make sense. Like, just tell them what's happening, right? Like, if you've got some contract with this other group of people, just talk to people about it. And like, before we get into all of that, once again, and maybe this is like, I think that we went past this point when they fixed the plane and we're supposed to believe that this group of people has some level of scientific technical expertise that they've learned or been able to learn. And I guess they do have some of Polar Bear's men helping them out. But the whole premise that this group of people is able to, like, refine gasoline, like refine oil to gasoline, I find to be a little bit much. Did you feel that at all? Like, it just... I
assume, no. I went along with it because I don't honestly know how much goes into the refining process, whether you can actually do it with 3 adults and some children.
And a couple of rats to get the zombie labor underway.
Some zombie labor. Maybe it's that easy, but I was willing to believe it because I don't know enough.
Well, I mean, look, I guess you got the 2 guys that are supposed to be the experts and are helping them do this. But I'm just saying, this doesn't seem exactly a healthy place to have little kids. And they have got 2 of the little rugrats there.
3 of them, the siblings.
3 of them, sorry.
But where are the others? Like, there were like 12 kids.
Like, where did the kids go? Are they there? I guess they're conveniently with the convoy. But this is just sort of like one of those things. And, like, also just in terms of security, all they have is a little gate on this refinery, and then their idea is like, when they realize that rig isn't our rig, and then they're like standing there when this giant like semi is gonna come through. Like, like Wendell in the wheelchair. I don't know, like the whole thing just seems totally dumb.
This whole episode is plagued by a rash of unthinking pacifism until the very end, and then at the end it goes to another. Speaking of going to extremes, then at the end it goes to the other extreme in a way that's very that I don't enjoy. That's unrealistic. So it doesn't make a lot of sense why the good guys do that.
Correct. And also shooting all these weapons around an oil refinery probably wouldn't work out so well.
Perhaps not. I don't know. Like, they have open flames already burning.
Yeah, I guess. But so in any case, what happens here is Logan, like the whole cliffhanger of the last episode that we had reviewed, he's discovered where the oil fields are. He goes and storms the castle, so to speak. There's a lot of standoffs between our group and their group, and there's a lot of weird speeches. Sarah has to come to terms with the fact that basically Logan tells her that the reason why he's this way is because she killed Polar Bear, that what she and Wendell did ultimately led to Polar Bear's death, but not because he lost Polar Bear, because there was a time when he was trying to help this woman, and Polar Bear wasn't on the route because they had stolen his truck, and basically he had to listen to the walkers tear this woman apart at one of the truck stops. What did you think? Like to me, this is like, it's definitely trying to fill in the backstory, which I applaud, but this all felt like so weird that even just the way it's sort of coming about, because look, this is something you and I have talked about before. This group of people doing good around, you're going to run into bad people. This happens all the time. You're also going to lose a lot of people, which is just part of this world. Like, this can't, to me, it's like, maybe it was the first time he ever dealt with that, but there's like, to me, it seems unlikely that would be the first time that something like that would have happened, right?
I agree. Absolutely, I agree. Yeah. You're years into the apocalypse, and this is the first time you're hearing somebody die on the radio when all you do is talk on walkies all the time? No, yeah. He's heard this before. We've certainly heard it before. So as an audience, we're not like, oh my gosh, yeah, of course he's going to have this like psychotic break, or this is a perfect opportunity for Virginia and her weirdos to come in and not be specific about anything.
Oh yeah, and also be out in full like weird horse riding regalia. I don't know. They look pretty crisp for having been into the apocalypse for a while.
They're a fully baked cult looking group, like with
totally
down to they all have one side of their cowboy hat bent up. It's just too much. It's
a lot of time dedicated to costuming in a way that I find implausible in this particular world and where we are in the timeline.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what they are. Also, let's just talk about the fact that they're introducing a new big bad or a new whatever to sort of like that have been out there. And I mean, the thing that I find totally ridiculous. So she's very much like, we've been listening to your group, or we are hearing all this stuff. And look, you've got like basically cavalry. You've got people with big horses running around this countryside that apparently have been invisible up until this point. I don't think that that's realistic.
No.
I mean, you're talking about open plains land here. I mean, there's maybe some rolling hills, there's a little bit of tree coverage, but you're going to see people run around on horses. And also horses are so rare that absolutely would stand out, right?
With the introduction of a community that does rely on horses so much, why aren't more people riding bicycles in the zombie apocalypse?
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense, and you don't have to feed it. That's the other thing. Yeah. Feeding a horses eat so much.
And zombies eat horses.
Yeah, and they drink so much water. So you'd have to have some real, crazy supply of water, which I think they probably have. But basically an unlimited, horses have to eat, pounds and pounds of feed a day. Mm-hmm. And that to keep, and these are very good-looking horses. They're very well-fed, well-groomed horses. There is nothing not taken care of about them. They have not gone to seed. Not to mention just even the sort of daily maintenance of the horseshoes and hooves and all of that stuff. That takes an enormous amount of time. And you've got a pretty fair number of these people riding around on horses.
Yeah.
And they're loud. Let's also put it that way.
They do. The Foley work in this, when they get introduced, is the horses are whinnying and neighing the whole way up the road. Yeah. And I think they would have to train their horses not to do that when they're out in zombie country.
Also, the horses might instinctually start to do that. But anyway, there's that. But let's get into some of the relationships, the things that happen in these episodes. So we got Logan, his whole standoff with Sarah.
Yeah.
We've got the
With
introduction
Luciana.
and Luciana.
Well, I mean, Sarah shows up eventually. That's after she
Right.
sets an ambush for Raleigh.
Right.
And we have to talk more about what's happening with Raleigh and the like two other guys with him at the end of this episode.
I don't know.
Right?
I really don't know.
So yeah, Sarah jacks Raleigh's truck. Meanwhile, Logan has taken over the oil plant with Doris. Is that her name? Doris?
I think so,
The
yeah.
woman with the machine gun who just looks mad all the time. So yeah, Tank Town is in trouble, but friendlies are on the way to go help. There's a lot of walking back and forth, which I know is a great surprise to you.
Yeah, I mean, it was, yeah. At this point, I'm done complaining about it because it's just obviously what they're going to continue to do throughout the show and rely upon as a stupid device. And also, once again, nobody seems to be too concerned. Like, they're now no longer, like, it's all this weird, like, just, it's a very sloppy device. Let's just put it that way. Also, can we also point out, like, what the hell is Alicia doing? Like, running around, throwing up some phoenixes on trees, and just seems really happy. Her and Strand. That's what they apparently are doing, and it's bullshit.
She's found her happy place.
Like, how is this helping? And, you know, she keeps leaving the walkie-on and draining the batteries so that Wes can hear it. While he's out painting some happy trees or something. I don't know, man. That was just insane to me. It's like, okay, that's what you're doing to help? And Strand's like, I really like that phoenix. Like, what? Anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't, it's, yeah.
All right. And the wonderful, like, symmetry between, you know, the thing that happened when Logan, that woman got stuck in the truck stop, and when suddenly a new woman is stuck in the same truck stop, right?
Right, and that's why Alicia and Strand are trying to get to her, and it's now we have the exact same scenario playing out. The odds of that happening, and I mean, at least, what's his name, Logan does remark upon that later, saying, well, what are the odds or something? Maybe he doesn't say that, but I was definitely saying, what are the odds?
He does say that. He does say something like that, which is, like, unbelievable, which it kind of is.
Yeah.
But Strand and Alicia run out of gas, just like Logan did. They run. We see the same mile markers. And just when all hope is almost lost, and Logan is basically telling this woman to use the one bullet left in the gun, which, by the way, I don't think there was probably a bullet left in the gun, but okay.
Why would he have remembered that? If he dropped that,
right.
You know, like, it's a traumatic moment, he shoots some zombies, then drops the gun, walks outside, gets recruited by Virginia to the dark side. He remembers exactly how many rounds are left in that gun that he left on the floor in the feed bag, whatever.
But miracle of miracles, Wes comes in and saves her because somebody helped him. And then, you know, Alicia and Strand show up, and he's like, nice phoenixes. So I guess her phoenixes did do something.
See? It was the painting that saved the day. What has also happened in the intervening scenes in this episode, it is busy, I guess, thinking back on it, because it aired a while back, right? After Logan has taken over the oil refinery, Sarah has shown up and tried to, like, scare him away, but then talks about not wanting to make her iron bark, which I'm kind of getting over. I'm a little bit over the way she's talking. She's a little bit too much like a Eugene now. Like, don't talk so weird, please. Just because it's been 2 years in the apocalypse doesn't mean we have to go all garbage people. Then suddenly, John Dory and June show up, also do a standoff and say, hey, just in case you have any funny ideas, I'm going to shoot a zombie, and then I'm not going to shoot at you because I'm a pacifist now, as are we all. Suddenly, though, zombies start arriving at the edge of this quarry. Which it's a quarry. It's not an oil field. I don't know why there's an oil thing going on in there. And June is like, guys, you better get out of there. And then we get a shot over her shoulder, and there's 2 zombies walking towards the refinery. I'm just like, all right, guys, how long have we been doing this? Why do we have to make an evac call when there are 2 zombies? Granted, later on there are more, but that's not until after dark.
Also after dark, but also they've been doing this refinery stuff for a while. Like, this all seems weird and contrived, and like they might know a way to deal with it. But suddenly everything is all crazy. Logan is, you know, weirdly, like I totally got the sense that the Matt Fuhrer characters like, get off my foot, zombie, when it could easily be, it's like, oh, I can't get this zombie off my foot. Doris, help me. And she's like, I've had enough of this. Like, he could easily get rid of the zombie.
I would hope
and
so.
And he doesn't. And then he's like supposedly in some kind of bad situation, and Sarah goes back to get him because she, is trying to make right what she did to Polar Bear. And they get locked up in a room together. That doesn't really, I don't know, solve the issues.
Well, that's when they end up hearing that radio call. And also, when they're going into that room, there is one of the loudest Wilhelm screams I've ever heard in any production. Like, I think Wilhelm screams need to be kind of subtle. When there's like 20 stormtroopers being shot, you get one kind of quiet Wilhelm scream. It's not supposed to be this like, hey, check it out, everybody, we're doing a Wilhelm scream in this episode. So one of his guys apparently was getting eaten. And it was super loud. I was like, oh, that's a bit over the top. Maybe that's a pretty nitpicky nitpick, but still. Yeah. I assume you heard it.
Yes. And then, in addition to all these people kind of around the quarry helping, quote unquote, we then have the rabbi and Tess show up, who they're trying to develop, I guess. But, like, this is like, I don't know, random. And then they all help, and Wes helps the woman. And it just feels like a lot of convoluted storytelling. And I guess that this is a bit of the point that you and I have talked about a lot, is that the cast feels really big at this point.
Yeah.
And I think part of the issue and part of why they're having a hard time managing these storylines is that there's almost just too much to try to fit in and too many characters to try to deal with. So that doesn't get any better, really, with the next couple episodes. But the big finale, though, do you want to talk about it?
Well, yeah, then this is just bananas. This is so... Logan is down in the bottom of the quarry area, coming around, right? He's just saying, like, I'm not going to forget who I used to be. I don't care if this is our ticket to the promised land, as Doris calls it. And then immediately gets a bullet in the head. And then all 5 or so of his henchmen all get bullets in the head, too. And we pan up. How did this happen? Was it John Dory? No. It was 5 or 6 people on horseback, as we all know, the most stable platform for firing rifles, who've all managed to get headshots from several hundred feet away. And then like 1,000 more of them ride into the quarry. We didn't hear any of this coming. And John Dory and June, are they still outside in the quarry? They are, I think.
I think so.
And they didn't see them coming either, although they could see 2 zombies at night. So suddenly we have like an army. This is definitely, it's a way more ham-fisted version of the not the Savior's reveal in The Walking Dead Prime, in terms of how many of them there are.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's so many of them, but then it's just like this is our oil now. You can have a truck and leave, and Luciana volunteers to stay behind, and I'm just like, I don't care.
Yeah, it's just like, you don't even care. And it's like, it's also introducing this new sort of big group at this point in the season is weird, but okay. Again, they're apparently the Ninja Cavalry.
Cavalry. Yeah, so doing it at this point in the season just means that they're setting up for season 6. But you don't really like that, because it means there might be a cliffhanger, or there's not going to be any closure. But what is there to have closure from in this season? We haven't done anything. You just killed off the one, enemy force, which was always ineffective anyway, and never really did anything other than posturing. Right. It's just, yeah, man.
It's frustrating is
not good. Let's move on. I feel like we spent too long even on that episode.
All right. Well, we're going to zoom through the next
one. The next one was Today and Tomorrow by Sidney Freeland, was the director, and Richard Naying and David Johnson, not the running back for the Arizona Cardinals, were the writers.
Yep. All right. So we got a little bit more of a backstory, but there's just so much of this. And I think we can talk about the Daniel characterizations here. But the overarching thing here is that, in terms of some of my issues, is that we've got Morgan and Al run around together off because he's afraid of his weird thing with Grace.
Yeah.
We've got Grace and Daniel running around, and there is something that I really like. I don't know. I don't want to give it. Well, I guess we'll get there at some point.
Doesn't matter. Let's just go. Like you said, we're going to
okay.
do this one fast, so go for it.
All right. So basically, the whole idea that now Morgan is coming to terms with whatever he's got to come to terms with and realizes his feeling for Grace, and now she's sick suddenly out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's
it's
definitely...
like, come on, man. That's
they're
just
pulling
stupid.
the rug right out from under it so fast. Yeah, and also, I get it. Karen David and Ruben Blaze are amazing musicians, but does that mean that we have to have a duet when there's a scene of the two of them together?
Yeah.
Because at what other point? I mean, I know that Daniel Salazar is the reinvented guy for these showrunners. Is this like cuddly guy? I mean, that just ignores all of the other seasons of him, where he was a cold-blooded killer who trusted nobody. Like, even think about his introduction in season 1.
Oh yeah.
In the pilot, I think it was the pilot or the second episode, where he's got his little like foldable razor, and he doesn't even want people walking into his barbershop.
No, and now he's supposed to be this like kind of like crazy cat dude, a mechanic who does everything. He's a bit of a sage. Yep. He knows all this stuff.
He loves his music. He just wants people to listen to the Traveling Wilburys.
Yep. Hangs out with Skidmark. And then, he does say that, and that's part of what we get here in between duets and stuff, is that basically he says that Charlie is the one who pulled him out of his isolation. And it's like, she was with you for like 10 minutes, man. Like, I don't know. Like, granted, I guess you could get somewhere given the stuff he had been through with his daughter and his family, and maybe you could get there, but they haven't shown enough of that to show how his evolution happened, so that was dumb. Morgan and Al have an enormous amount of weird stuff with her video camera, and okay, can we talk again about the stupid ass video camera? And like, they're out and about, she's getting him to talk through, I guess, in a therapeutic way about his son and his wife and all that stuff. And then they run into this character, Tom, who is like, kind of running away from some of the Virginia people, the Virginia cavalry. And they like hide in a minivan, and Al is like, in a way to seem like to not attract them, is putting up her video camera. She does this a couple of times. Have you noted this? Yeah. This is like really strange. Like that motion wouldn't attract attention. Like, it's tinted windows. They're not going to see you either.
Well, the one smart thing about that scene was they had the horse fog the window on the van, so the guy couldn't see inside. I was like, all right, you guys thought that went through, and that's pretty smart. But why he didn't think that he should look around the fog part of the window, I don't know.
And then Morgan and Al, and of course she kind of thinks that they're connected with her buddy Isabel. And so they break into this whole condo to help out Tom because his sister is still with Virginia's group. And we get a little bit of information from him about what their deal is. And basically they come and try to help, but if you're not necessarily on board with their plans, they'll like hunt you down or kill you or eradicate you.
They talked a little bit about that at the end of the last episode. They killed Logan because he wasn't useful anymore. This is part of the problem. He was like talking in a normal conversational tone about switching teams, but they apparently heard him several hundred feet away and decided.
And they also knew how to mark every single person in his group because obviously, that's easy to do from really far away. So basically, Al and Morgan sort of break in, and basically, like, I don't know, like I know that why they did it, but it just doesn't seem like a very smart plan, and of course get captured.
Yeah,
it's like dumb. So I don't even know what to say more about this. And
she
then
loses her camera. They fix his stick. They let him go the next day. But not before Virginia tries to recruit them. But their model, Virginia's model, is completely unintelligible to me. Like, okay, they're growing, they're expanding, they take over communities, they fix them up because they have access to people, and people have skills that are valuable. But then on the other side of the same coin, Virginia is straight up murdering people that she thinks are not useful.
Right, and it's hard to determine what makes her decide if they are or not. Like, it doesn't really seem to make sense.
Also, what makes her the leader? She's
right.
This is the actress. Oh, I forget her name. Minifee, I think is her last name.
Yeah, and she did you see The Boys? She was in that.
She was in The Boys. But yeah,
Yeah,
I did see The Boys, but I don't
she's
remember her.
the
She's the PR lady.
PR person.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she was Jessica Jones's neighbor on a couple seasons, or at least one season of that show. She's a great actor. She plays assholes really well.
Yep.
But I don't think that her character is well written in this case. So I would say it's another situation where they brought in like a top tier actor, and they're not doing a great job of explaining why she is what she is, or how did she get to be the leader of a group of hardened mercenary cowboys.
Yeah, and it's sort of weird to me that she does let Hal and Morgan go, so there's that too. And of course, this is the point that I get really pissed off, but like Morgan suddenly realizes that his wandering, he's through it, and he has feelings for Grace, and he immediately gets on the walkie-talkie and immediately gets now a sick radiation poisoning Grace on the line.
Yep.
And she's like, I don't have much time left. And it's like, this came out of total nowhere.
Yeah, because 2 seconds ago she was singing a duet of the Traveling Wilburys with Ruben Blades.
Yeah.
Extremely frustrating way to end an episode.
Yes. So anyway, there's that.
Also, every time Morgan gets on the radio to express some sort of like life-affirming message to somebody, last time he did it, it was to Alicia, who had just eaten a bunch of zombie blood, which also had zero effect in the long-term storytelling.
Yep.
And now this time it's, oh, Grace, I want to hang out with you. Oh, I'm dying. And OMG.
Yep.
Channel 5.
Channel 5. I call this the episode of the dueling video documentaries. And let's just talk about, like, I am so sick of this idea. And also, like, okay, how many people can actually watch this? How many people are actually getting to the places where you guys are that you can have people watch this? Like, yep. And now you have 2 of them going on. And so the idea is that Ginny has made her own little recruiting video. And then Alan Morgan's group make another one to counteract the
counter the counter video.
The counter video. And then I don't know. It's just really, just totally like it just drove. Like I actually like sighed out loud many times during this, just given the dueling documentaries.
Well, it's the video doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on video camera stuff, and like you said, it's they have no distribution. Their version of distribution is putting VHS tapes out on the edges of where their community or their control is, I guess, and powering them in TVs. It makes no sense. And it's so dumb, and I just, But so we get treated to another version of Al's, it's really the showrunners, how they think that conversations should be edited, which is every character gets to say one thing, and then the next person finishes the sentence.
Yep.
Isn't there a game?
That's their standard.
Isn't that like I feel like that's a game where you tell a story one word at a time.
Yep.
But apparently they just have everybody saying the same sentences and then cutting them out and putting them back together with the other people's words. It feels way too. I don't know. I'm running out of adjectives to say dumb.
Yeah. And this all goes on like the whole episode, and then you got Wes getting involved, and it like he's gonna show the differences between the groups, and and he's totally turned into this new person now that he's rescued this one woman who, voila, turns out to be Janice, the sister of Tom, the guy we met in the last episode.
And Tom's sister walks up to Tom while he's doing his video interview, and he's like, "They found my sister," and she goes, "They found my brother."
Oh God!
Yeah, we need that. We need that so much.
And then let's talk about this weird idea that they're gonna go to the John Dory Humbug's Gulch.
Yeah.
Like this is where they think they're gonna end up.
Yep.
I don't know. It's like,
hey, of all the other perfectly good options that they've walked away from, why not? Why not?
Sure.
It's
Go
just,
to a place that's completely unknown and that we don't know what's gonna like happen there.
it turns out that it's in the literal middle of nowhere, which is a little bit of a strange place to put a entertainment
Theme park
venue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've also got a bit of Dwight in this episode. And there's a tension created because when they're on their journey. By the way, like a lot of the like with Grace's sickening, like how is she even able to do some of this stuff? Like, because her like illness or whatever it is, one would think she wouldn't be able to make this journey so easily, right?
Well, they give her fluids, and that makes her feel 100% better.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it was that sidetrack to get those fluids that ends up killing Tom.
Yep.
Who, actually, I don't agree with that. That's what they try to make us think. But it was 100% because Tom is an idiot, and he became Al's protege, and Al is also an idiot.
Yep, they're
and
both
so
idiots.
That's what kills Tom. The fact that he wants to stand on a bridge which is actively collapsing and do some selfies.
Yes, clearly collapsing. It's like, I actually felt like this was somewhat of a commentary on the selfie culture, and I think that maybe somebody really hates millennials, and that's what the whole Al character is about all of that stuff. But, you know, it makes it no less annoying. And it was sort of like, I hate to say Darwin Awards, but he definitely won one there. And it's at that point that Virginia basically is like, she's done this a couple times. She did in the last episode too. She like hinted that to Dwight that she knew that she said she'd help him if his wife was alive. Like, so she's watched those videos. So she dangles that carrot in front of him in particular, and that creates some tension. And yeah, I don't know. And they, and it's in part of that. That's why, like, not that, like, he's definitely responsible for his own death, but it is in some way because she forced them into some kind of a flee position there too. But
so they eventually walk, because they lose all their vehicles, they walk to the gulch, and it's infested with zombies, and they're like, oh, this is the end of the road, we're all gonna die. Well, we don't have to. And then they call Ginny for help, which is what she's been wanting them to do this whole time, very strangely. But then, so Dwight is like, no, hell no, I'm out of here. I'm not going to go for Saviors round 2. I can kind of respect that.
I can respect that for him. I don't blame him.
But yeah, like, he also should look at this group and say, oh, there's a bunch of children here and old people, and they need me.
Yeah.
So now I'm getting into where this was obviously a decent turn in this story. It's just that to get to this point, they did a lot of annoying stuff. And I think, are we still looking at this through the lens of Al's camera or not? I don't think we are anymore.
I don't think we are, but who knows?
It was so much of this episode that it was a disaster. So all that's left is the season finale at this point. It's going to air this weekend. Like I said, we will get to it. I'm hoping that we can do that, I don't know, in a week or so.
If any of our intrepid listeners have comments about this, if you're as frustrated as us, we'd love to hear what you have to say. Send us a tweet, reanimatedpcast is the handle, or send us an email, reanimatedpodcast@gmail.com, or you can leave a note on our site, reanimatedpodcast.com.
Totally. I want to get off the ride, you know?
Yep,
I'm
feeling the same.
Get out of this. I just read, I was just looking at the wiki, and it says that the 5th season, one of the episodes was directed by Sarah Wayne Callies, and I don't see her on the director list. So the one that's the finale says TBA under director. So I think Sarah Wayne Callies, Lori Grimes herself, might be the director for the finale.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know what that means.
And there has been a little bit of conjecture that they're going to still bring Kim Dickinson back.
Impossible.
I don't think they are.
That's what people are asking for, but no.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. And I also think that she was burned, and I don't think she owes them anything. So, but yeah, let's finish this thing out, and we've got some really cool things to talk about before that next season ends up happening. But maybe they can get it together. I am definitely ready for this one to close out. Absolutely, we're on the same page.
Okay.
So until next time, and it may be a couple weeks, but we'll close this one out, and then we'll be on to cool things like Little Monsters and Zombieland Double Tap. So, all right, have a good one, y'all.
Bye-bye, and thanks for listening.
Ciao.